Welcome to our free, massively human micro-learning course called Why Failing Leads to Success. As scary as failure may seem, it is the only way to success. My name is Kathleen Seeley, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Massively Human Companies. I have many certifications and degrees, a very successful coaching and consulting company, all of which would seem to qualify me as someone who is successful. But it's my internal game, my failures, my mistakes, my struggles. These are the things that make me uniquely qualified to share this information with you. I'm also a mother of 3. I'm divorced. I've battled my body image, and I experience challenges when navigating relationships. I'm just like you. Some nights I can't sleep, and some days I wake up scared. But none of those things stop me from taking chances, from trying new things, and to continue to be insatiably curious and willing to fail forward. My passion is stronger than my fears, and my willingness to not know, to look awkward, and to make mistakes has led me to major accomplishments, business success, and personal triumphs. First, let's talk a little bit about what is success. Success, if it's not on your own terms, it's not success at all. So you got to decide what success is for you. But I can tell you, I've hung out with a lot of cool, very, very successful people. And the one thing that they have in common is that the most successful people are the most resilient people. They build their resilience because they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're humble enough to know they're stuck, but intelligent enough to know they have the tools to get unstuck. And how do they get unstuck? They build their resilience through learning, and they learn through their failure. So fail forward, my friends. It's the only way to see what's possible. I'd like you to consider this question. When you think about failure and the road to your own success, think about this. What does it cost you to act like you know? Do you go around pretending you've got it all buttoned down, not asking questions? Are you afraid to look like you don't know? What does it cost you? Albert Einstein said, the most important decision you will ever make is how you see the universe. For me, that is so profound. How I see the world profoundly impacts the way I do my life. I was introduced to this concept way back in 2008 when I came across this book written by Dweck called Mindset. Mindset, the new psychology of success. How we can learn and fulfill our potential. This piece of work was profound. Dweck was passionate about kids, and her research began with the insight into why some school children got excited about difficult problems while others got anxious. Her work has now expanded beyond the classroom for application to life, leadership in the boardroom, and beyond. But she asked this profound question. What are the consequences of thinking your intelligence or your personality is something you can develop, as opposed to something that is a fixed or deep-seated trait? She was asking the age-old question, nature versus nurture. Is our intelligence, our personality, or our physical ability assigned at birth? Are we born with it, or can we develop it? And she suggests the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you do your life. So think about failures, mistakes, what does it cost you to act like you know, and think about how do you approach learning? How do you approach learning? When things don't go your way or you don't know the answer immediately, do you pack up your toys and go away, or do you try to learn again? Do you try new ways of doing things? I mean, we can learn from Thomas Edison. He didn't think he failed. He says, I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work. He found 10,000 ways of how not to build a light bulb. So aren't we grateful to Thomas Edison that he kept trying, that he didn't quit after 9,999 tries? He persisted, and you can too. He didn't act like he knew. He was more curious than afraid. So let's go back to this nature and nurture question. Are we born smart? Dweck discovered that some kids believed you were born with a certain amount of intelligence and it can't be changed, while others thought that intelligence can grow and be nurtured through practice. It turns out grown-ups believe the same things. Through Carol's research, she identified 2 mindsets. A fixed mindset, which is, this is the way I am, I was born with it, or the growth mindset, that my intelligence can grow and develop. This has had profound impact on my life, and I share it with all of my clients. because your mindset creates a whole mental world for you to live in. It affects how you respond to feedback, and it plays a major role in guiding your beliefs, the choices you make, and the goals you pursue. Mindset is how you see the world. The two mindsets, again, just as a reminder, the fixed mindset is your ability can't change, and the growth mindset is your ability can change. Your mindset shapes the way your brain helps you deal with things. The growth mindset is characterized by effort and perseverance, and the growth mindset is proven to enhance learning and retention of new information. A willingness to learn and grow. A fixed mindset is characterized by a pressure to perform, all about outcome goals, to avoid challenges and to stay familiar, and to set goals they know can achieve, or worse yet, not to set any goals at all. Again, a fixed mindset, your abilities can't change. It is grounded in a belief that your qualities are carved in stone, you are unchangeable, it is very fear-driven, and every situation defines you as a success or failure. I feel like it's a cage. You're locked in a cage. You can't expand and grow if you're always worried about making a mistake. The opposite of the fixed mindset is the growth mindset, where your abilities can change. Where your basic qualities are things that you can cultivate through your efforts. And everyone can change and grow through application and experience. And it's a firm belief that your true potential is unknown. A new experience is an opportunity for growth. So here's the key. Are you wondering how to determine if you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Well, the clues are in how you respond to the events in your life. Now, this guy, you may not know who this guy is. I may be dating myself here, but this is John McEnroe. He is arguably one of the best tennis players in the world. But he wasn't only famous for his tennis, he was also famous for his temper tantrums and his mood swings. John McEnroe is a quintessential fixed mindset. The signature responses of someone who has a fixed mindset are when they're faced with a failure or challenge, people with a fixed mindset, they don't pay attention to the learning information. They get depressed, become de-energized, and lose self-esteem. They blame others. That was John McEnroe's signature thing. He blamed everyone. Or they misrepresent past successes and failures. Now let's go to the other side of the coin, the growth mindset. How to tell if you have a growth mindset? Well, it's really in your responses to the events in your life. This is Michael Jordan. Remember Michael Jordan, arguably one of the best basketball players of all time. But here he is playing baseball. Michael Jordan decided he wanted to try to play baseball. He was advised against it because people said to him, "You're going to fail in front of the world." And he said, "That's okay. I don't mind failing forward." He was willing to risk it in front of the world. That's the hallmark of a growth mindset. The signature responses of a growth mindset are such that they pay attention to the learning information so they can improve in the future. They focus on what they're learning rather than focusing on how they feel. Yes, they get stressed. Yes, they get scared, but they don't get swept away in that feeling. They try new ways of doing things. They don't quit. They're super resourceful. Remember, people with a growth mindset have built up their resilience because they're willing to try new ways of doing things. And when they're faced with tests which are impossible to pass, they'll factor in other reasons and not blame their intellect. I hope you've reached the same conclusion I did when I was first introduced to this work about mindset, that your mindset really matters. It may seem simple, but it's not. The most common mindset is the fixed mindset, but the most transforming is the growth mindset. It's a great use of your time to see what mindset you're operating from and to consider what might help you break through your limitations. It's well worth understanding and considering how much it's affecting you. So the source of the fixed mindset, where does the fixed mindset come from? Where does it get its energy? It gets its energy from our fears. Those fears, the fears of not being good enough, the fears of not having enough, not being smart enough, all those fears are the source of a fixed mindset. Now, where do these fears come from? Did you know that we're born with only two fears? The first one is the fear of falling. And the second one is the fear of loud noises. That's it. Do you have any other fears other than the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises? I know I do. The fear of failing, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being enough, the fear of snakes, of spiders, all those fears that we have. We were not born with those fears. We created those fears. And where do they come from? They come from the stories we tell ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves profoundly impacts the way we do our life. Years ago, Byron Katie shared a story with me that really demonstrates how powerful our stories can be if we don't stop and check to see if they're true. Imagine walking through a beautiful meadow on a beautiful evening. You feel the light breeze on your cheeks. You smell those beautiful flowers, and you walk through this beautiful meadow, and suddenly you see a snake. Suddenly you see the snake and all of your energy shifts. It's no longer a beautiful walk. You feel fear. You are frozen. You're contracted. And then you look a little bit closer and you see, well, it's actually not a snake at all. It's actually just a rope. And you could look at that rope for 10,000 years and never again make it a snake. And that's what it's like with our stories. If we're willing to sit in the heat, in that energy, in that fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, and question that story, we can turn all of those snakes into ropes, and they can never have the power over us ever again. If we're willing to take the time. So yeah, mindset matters. As I mentioned, the most common is the fixed mindset, and this is why. A little bit of brain stuff here for you. Is we all have negativity bias built into our brain. And you know what? Our brain actually shrinks when we're under stress. It actually contracts. We lose our capacity to make clear decisions and we get stuck. We all have negativity bias built into our brain, but how quickly we can notice and redirect our negative thoughts helps us learn and grow. We all get stuck. But we can get stuck in them or allow them to pass and watch them and learn. We create our own suffering by how we see the world, the stories we tell ourselves, and how we make sense of the things going on around us. When we suffer, again, our brain actually contracts, it shrinks. But when we're grounded and we look for the learning, our brain can actually grow. It can actually grow and we'll be able to find solutions to our problems. How to overcome negativity bias is to stop when you're under stress and ground yourself. Question the story. Is this a snake or is it a rope? Allow your brain to grow. Accept failure as necessary for learning and let the stress flow through you so you can break through. So how do we shift out of negativity bias? The first thing you do is you stop, allow the emotion to flow through you and ground yourself. Allow and notice the stress and the tension between where you are and what you want to learn or achieve. You can become grounded and you can learn rather than resist. And your brain will grow, it will adapt. This is how you build resiliency. The most successful people are the most resilient. Accept failure as necessary for learning and let that stress flow through you so you can break through. When you're calm and you're grounded, your intuition can kick in and your intelligence flows when you realize you're self-absorbed in your own negativity bias. Just notice, sit at it, and the energy will dissipate. I promise you will be able to find new solutions to your problems. The ability to do this shapes how you deal with success and failure. It has a powerful impact on the neural processing that influence memory, learning, resilience, and performance. Remember, your brain contracts when you're under stress. When you notice you're under stress, just stop, take a breath, and allow it to flow through. Let your brain adapt and grow and learn. Now I'm going to share with you a quick tool that you can use when you're triggered or you're feeling afraid or your story might be getting in the way of you achieving your very next step. It's called Win, Learn, Change. Whenever you're faced with anything that triggers you, anytime you feel kind of stuck or stressed, stress is a good thing. It means you're learning. What I'd like you to do is first ask yourself, what was your win? What did you get out of it? There's always something you can find. The next thing is, what did you learn? And the third thing, what will you change? So win, learn, change, and that is the key to transformation, to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, to question your stories and turn all those snakes, those fears into ropes, to face them down head on and take all that you know is possible and transform yourself into all your possibility. And now I'm going to leave you with this really funny cartoon that really demonstrates what growth is all about. See, just when I finally start to feel comfortable with my own skin, this happens. Get ready to shed your skin and shift from fixed thinking to growth thinking. Become more resilient and achieve the success on your own terms. If you like this video, stay connected. Come say hello and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or send me a note at info@KathleenSeeley.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to sharing with you our next free micro-learning course here at Massively Human.